Hi, can you see me properly?
Yes, yes. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. How about me?
Yes, you're audible. How are you?
I'm good, darling. What's your name again?
I'm Parvani.
Parvaneet. Okay, hi.
Yes. Hi.
Okay, so my everything is okay, right? Because I'm
Yes,
not very
yes.
good at all this. Okay.
No, it's perfect.
Okay, thank you. And my volume is also fine, right?
Yes, yes, it's
Okay,
perfect. Okay.
thank you.
So, for our audience, uh, good evening, everyone. I, Parvani, on behalf of Strong and Healthy Minds, welcome you to the 14th episode of Mind Talkies. Today, we have with us Gauri ma'am. She's a psychologist, she's a therapist, and a life coach. She's even certified with the Albert Ellis Institute. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Glad to be
I'm
here.
sure I'm sure my introduction does not do justice to you. I would request you to introduce yourself to everyone.
No, I think you more or less summed it up. Yes, I am a psychologist, I'm a therapist, as in I'm a psychotherapist, and I'm also a hypnotherapist. I'm also a life coach. I'm credentialed by ICF. I'm the founder of Self Align, which is a mental health service and an affiliated center with the Albert Ellis Institute in New York. So that's it.
We are happy to have you here on board.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
So, our topic for today is fear of rejection. So, I really feel that this topic is really of dire concern given the current circumstances, especially. So, when I actually think of the term rejection, what comes to my mind is how we actually manifest it. The all the I can'ts and how will whether so and so will like me or not. But before we jump into that, I would really like to ask you what is fear of rejection and what is actually the difference between rejection and fear of rejection.
You froze. You frozen. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
if I got you right, you wanted to know what is rejection and then what is the difference between rejection and fear of
yes,
rejection,
yes,
right?
yes.
Okay. So first and foremost, where does rejection stem from? See, all of us as humans, we are social animals, right? We have this very inherent need in us to belong, and when we can't belong, then we also feel hurt. So we have this need in us for approval, to be accepted and not rejected. We have a need for achievement, to be successful and not fail at anything that we do. And we also have a need for power, to control. Okay? So when we want something to happen and that does not, that is when we feel rejected. Now, we need to understand that just because I love somebody doesn't mean that he must love me. Just because I've worked very hard in something doesn't mean that I need to get the results that I wanted. Okay, that doesn't always happen. So there is this difference between being rejected in a particular thing and being rejected as a person. Now, what happens is most often it is what we offer that is rejected, right? Offer in terms of friendship, companionship, love and affection, or anything that we are doing. So that may be rejected by others. However, we don't know the difference between that and between ourselves. So what we do is we tend to confuse the two. And we think that just because my love wasn't accepted, or just because my friendship or my companionship, was not accepted by this person, therefore that person doesn't accept me and rejects me. So we need to first segregate these two things. So it is not me who's being rejected, but something that I am doing or something that I'm offering that may be rejected.
Right.
Okay, so that is as far as rejection is concerned. Now, obviously, fear of rejection comes from where? When, now see, let's just take, if I like somebody very much, okay, I want that person to like me back. I want that to be reciprocated. It's very natural, right?
Yeah.
However, there is a possibility. Now, it could be a 10% possibility, it could be 20, 30, 50, even 70% possibility that that may not happen.
True.
But it is still a possibility. Now, when in my mind, I turn that possibility into 100% surety, 100% certainty that no, this person is not going to like me back. That is when I then start creating certain emotions for myself, and I believe that I'm not being accepted. And then what happens is I start avoiding. So either I avoid, or then I go into people pleasing. I become a people pleaser where I will do anything. I will bend backwards, go out of my way just to win those brownie points, just to be approved, just to be accepted, just to be liked. And then what happens is I can't say no, right? So
Yes.
either I avoid, or then I just become a people pleaser. And then I allow people to walk over me because I don't have the capacity or the ability to say no. So this is a difference between rejection. First and foremost, it is not you who is being rejected, but something that you are offering, something that you are giving to somebody which has been turned down. So it's not you who's rejected, but what you are offering. And the second thing is that when I turn the possibility into a certainty, then I start creating, then obviously I'm fearful. I'm always fearful. And then I will withdraw, I will avoid, or I'll bend backwards.
So how has this, become such a core part of our lives? I mean, everyone is today afraid of rejection.
Yes, yes. So, see, like I said, our need for approval and not to be rejected is an intrinsic, inherent part of us as human beings. However, in today's lifestyle, with the kind of pace that we are living and social media, for whatever it's, everything has a flip side to it. So the ills of technology, the ills of social media, you know, I put up a post, I put up a photograph, I put up something on social media, and I only got 100 likes when I've got 500 friends, or I've got 1,000 friends or 2,000 friends, and I didn't get enough likes. So immediately, my content is not liked, my photograph is not liked, I am not liked, therefore I am being rejected. So that is one reason. The other thing is this need for instant gratification that has just cropped up in us. There is absolutely no patience, there is zero tolerance, and we want everything now. So all of these things have contributed to it becoming now a part and parcel of our lives.
Right. So, can we also say that we are some way actually constantly seeking a sense of validation?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, social media is propagating that, social media is just fueling that need in us.
Right. And especially now, it has become such an integral part of our lives.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Who doesn't have a Facebook account? I never had one for a long time, but even I did them. So,
Yes. So, I would actually like to share a study that I came across. The study stated that the fear of being excluded is actually, proportional to physical pain. It is really astounding how something that we can actually, take for granted can have such a dire impact on us. Would you like to share your thoughts on this?
absolutely. See, a lot of physical pain seems unbearable very often. And because of which, like, maybe even terminally ill people who are going through a lot of pain, they just want to end their life and just do away with that pain. Now, that is the physical part. However, emotional pain can be equally excruciating, equally unbearable, right? It does seem that way to a lot of people, and which is where suicidal ideation, suicidal attempts happens. Why? Because not because you want to end your life, but because you want to end that pain and you don't know how. So if I end my life, then I will be ending that pain. So it can go up to that, actually attempting suicide, attempting to harm yourself and take your own life. So you can imagine how excruciating emotional pain can be for a
Right.
lot of people.
So, since our majority of population right now is adolescents and young adults, so in cases of adolescents and adults per se, can you share where is this fear of rejection and this need for validation seen the most in life right now?
Okay, so let's take teens first. Let's take our adolescents first. What are adolescents? What is a major part of their life? It's education, right? So if I am studying so much and if I'm getting a certain grade, then obviously I need to get a certain percentage of marks. And if I'm, or for instance, if I'm applying to certain universities or colleges of my choice, and they don't accept my application, then I end up feeling rejected. Okay, so education is one big chunk, one big area. The other, of course, then is relationships, because that is when all your romantic relationships begin, right? Uh, in relationships, I would also include friendships. Teens have a very, very, very dire need to fit in. So their
Right.
peer group, to fit into the peer group, be a part of that. Like I said, everybody needs to belong. So in teens, you want to belong to your peer group. So you will do everything in your power to be accepted by your peer group. And if you are not accepted in your peer group or in your romantic relationships, then you end up feeling rejected. As far as adults are concerned, it could be in career. So I worked very hard for a particular project, but it didn't come my way. So I end up feeling rejected. Or I worked very hard and I was expecting a promotion, but I didn't get it. So therefore, I have been rejected by my boss, or I've been rejected by my organization. Or then I didn't get the incentives, I didn't get the perks, so on and so forth. Similarly, in adults, relationships, all different kinds of relationships. Adults are, you know, they are married, so, or they are into a live-in relationship or any kind of a romantic relationship. So, with your partner, with your spouse, with your children, for instance, a teenage daughter might just in a fit of temper tell her mother that, I just hate you, just go away, I don't want to see you. This happens very often.
Yeah.
And suddenly the mother takes it to heart. Okay, oh my God, I've raised this child all my life and I've done so much for her, and today she just turns around and tells me that she doesn't like me, she doesn't, she hates me, etc. So the mother starts feeling rejected. So in adult relationships, again, there are a whole lot of relationships on the professional as well as the personal level, where you need validation from others. You need to feel accepted. You need to be approved. You need to be appreciated. You need that pat on the back. You need those positive strokes. You need to be complimented. Like I said, again, whether it's a personal or it's your professional relationship. We also play a lot of roles. Adults play a lot of roles. I may be somebody's mother, I may be somebody's daughter, I'm somebody's wife, I'm somebody's friend, and so on and so forth. And we need appreciation and approval and acceptance in all these roles as well. And therefore, we keep seeking validation in all of these things. Rather than believing in ourselves and our abilities, we rely more on how well we are appreciated, how well we are approved, how well we are accepted by others to feel good about ourselves. And that is how that whole vicious circle happens.
So, are there any underlying causes and factors that actually contribute to this fear of rejection?
Absolutely. Absolutely. See, let me tell you one thing. Everything begins with the mind, with the thought.
Right.
Okay? You think something, and then based on what you're thinking, those emotions are created in you. And then based on those emotions that are created and what you're thinking, you act or you behave. Right? So everything starts in my mind. Right? So, for instance, when I am telling myself that just because I like somebody, that person must like me too. He must reciprocate my feelings. If I care so much about someone, if I'm doing so much for somebody, that person also must reciprocate in the same manner. Okay? Or if I'm telling myself that just because I have worked very hard, I must become successful, I must get this promotion. Or for instance, I tell myself that just because I've studied very well, I've done everything, I've got good grades, I must get admission in the college or the university of my choice. Now, when I put all these musts and shoulds as conditions, okay, in my mind, that because I have done this, therefore it should happen. Because I love somebody, he should love me. Because I've worked hard, I should get the promotion. Because I've worked hard, I should get the admission in this university. When I put these conditions of shoulds and musts and has to and have to, and those conditions are not fulfilled either by others or life, then I end up feeling rejected. Right?
Right.
And when I feel rejected, what happens? What happens when I feel rejected? What am
You
I
feel
saying
like
to myself? Yeah,
you feel let down.
you
There is a
ab-
lot of negation that you go through.
absolutely, you feel let down. You feel let down, and then somewhere you tell yourself that this person doesn't like me, or I've gone for 6 different job interviews and I haven't been accepted in any of them. Therefore, I'm not good enough. I'm not worth it. I don't deserve it. I'm unlovable. I'm worthless. So when I tell myself all these things, that I'm not good enough, then obviously how am I going to feel?
You're going to feel bad, of course. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So these are the causal factors. It is when you demand certain things from others, from yourself, from life, and those demands are not fulfilled. So instead, okay, so yeah, yeah.
So, is there a role of nature and nurture in fear of rejection? That how we are brought up, the environment that we are brought up in?
Yes, there is. There is. See, when I spoke about the inherent need for approval, when I spoke about the inherent need to be accepted and to belong, that is nature. That is a part of me as a human being. It's in my DNA,
Right.
right? Then there is the nurture. If I have constantly been conditioned to not getting any appreciation, not being complimented for anything that I've done, not getting any positive strokes, always being put down, always being shunned, you know, then obviously somewhere down the line, I'm going to start telling myself that I'm just not worth it. I'm worthless. Or I'm just not good. I'm just not good enough. So there is definitely a role of both.
Okay. So, what are the consequences and the impact of this that it can have on our life, holistically speaking?
Okay, so consequences can be in 2 areas. One is emotional consequences and one is behavioral consequences. So in emotions, what can you feel when you are feeling rejected, when you are telling yourself that this is not going to happen, I'm just not going to get it. I'm just not going to get this admission in whatever university I've applied, or nobody's going to go out on a date. Nobody's going to accept me. No friend. I'm not going to have any friends. I'm going to be rejected by everybody. If you're going to say all these things to yourself and going to convince yourself with all these things, obviously it's going to cause you a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. You're
Right.
constantly going to be in this state of anxiety, right? Another thing that it can cause you, another emotion, a very detrimental emotion, is guilt. If a mother is telling herself that she's not good enough, then she's causing herself a lot of guilt that I'm not a good mother. My daughter tells me that she hates me, therefore I have failed as a mother. I'm not a good mother. Therefore, she starts feeling guilty that I did something wrong in the way I brought my daughter up. And of course, then there is depression. So when I'm constantly going to feel worthless, not loved, and completely, not deserving of anything, then obviously I'm going to spiral into a very, very bad cycle of depression because I'm just not going to feel good. And when I don't feel good, then what's my behavior going to be? Obviously, I will start avoiding people, I will withdraw, If I feel that I'm being rejected by my peer group, then I will withdraw. I will not make an attempt to befriend people, for instance. How is that going to then affect my self-esteem? Obviously, my self-esteem will also be very low. My self-confidence will be very low. I will constantly live in a state of self-doubt. I will not have any confidence in myself to do anything, and I will always doubt myself. And when I don't have confidence to do anything, how do you think I'm going to present myself to others? Obviously, I will be very hesitant and I will not really be able to put my best foot forward,
So there would be
right?
a social awkwardness as well.
Absolutely. And also, I may also go into this whole people pleasing circle that I spoke about earlier, where I'm just
Yes.
so desperate to seek approval from everybody that I will do anything.
True.
So these are some of the behavioral and the emotional consequences.
Okay. So, lastly, I would like to ask you that
Mhm.
what are the strategies, or let's say the steps that we can use to overcome this and cope with this?
Okay. So the first and foremost thing that we need to do is understand what is being rejected. It is something that you are offering that is being rejected. It is something that you are doing, or a particular task, or a particular thing that you are offering that is being rejected, and not you per se, right? So understand what is being rejected and accept and differentiate between that, segregate the two. So differentiate between that. Also, accept that you can't control how life or others behave. So when I have these shoulds and musts, that because I want this, because I desire this, therefore this should happen. Because I like this boy very much, therefore he should also like me. Because I want to be friends with this person, that person also should accept me. All these shoulds, if I have, and then if those shoulds are not fulfilled, and there is a possibility that they may not be, because I cannot control how other people feel. Just as I have a right to like people, I have a right to, things that I like or don't like. Similarly, people also have that right? So accept that I cannot control anybody around me, no matter how much I may want to. And I also can't control life. So no matter how hard I may have studied, I may have got 95%, 96%, 97%, but I may not get admission in that Ivy League college that I wanted. I may not get into IIT, despite having studied really hard. I may not get into the entrance exam. I may not pass it. So just because I have put in a certain amount of effort, it doesn't necessarily mean that I should get the result which is commensurate with that particular effort. Things
True. But
always don't go according to plan, and basically I can't control that. There are a whole lot of factors that go into that, and I can't control that. Then also segregate between what you do and who you are. See, we all do certain tasks, okay, or we fulfill certain roles. This is a part of our personality. It is not our entire personality. It is not who we are. It is only what we do. What I do as a mother, what I do as a daughter, what I do as an employee, what I do as a boss, what I do as a friend, these are things that I do. It is not me. So learn to segregate the behavior from me as a person. I as a human being is completely different to all the various things that I do. Now, certain things I may do very well and certain things I may not do well. Okay? So just because I don't do certain things well does not mean that I'm not good. Does not mean that I should feel rejected. Okay? So we need to make that segregation between what we do and who we are. Then also we need to accept that all of us are made of positive, negative, and neutral traits. For instance, to give you an example, I may be somebody who's very generous and very helpful. Okay, so I'm very generous with everything that I have, and I easily share things with everybody, or I may be very helpful and go out of my way to help people. Okay, however, I also have this trait where I'm not always very truthful. So I have this tendency to maybe tell a few lies or a few white lies. Okay, now that could be looked upon as a negative trait, whereas my nature to help people or to be generous and share is a positive trait. I also have a neutral trait. For instance, maybe you like roses and I'm allergic to them, so I don't like roses. Now that is something neutral, right? So all of us are made up of positive, negative, and neutral traits. Yeah, we are a complex mixture of these things. And this is what makes us unique.
Yeah.
So none of us are perfect. So why demand that we should be perfect? Perfection is not a part of how we are manufactured and how we are created. We are created to be imperfect,
Yeah, there's
right?
actually a saying that I really love, that progress is actually perfection.
Well, there is nothing like perfection.
Right.
There is nothing like perfection. It's a huge myth, right?
True.
I can try to be a better version of myself,
That.
and I can keep striving for that. But striving for perfection, and what is perfection? If you go to see, perfection is very subjective,
True. Yes.
right? Today, I may score a certain amount. I may score something, like say I'm an athlete or something. And today, I have broken the world record. So you might say, oh, that was a perfect score. Tomorrow, I may break my own record. And the day after that, I may not,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
I can't always be at this pinnacle of my best. It is all very subjective. So perfection is also very subjective. So why strive for perfection? And when I don't, I want to be at this level. And even if I'm here, then I'm not good. Only if I'm here, I'm good. Right? So
Right.
these are all very irrational ways of thinking, very unrealistic demands that we put on ourselves and on others. And then we end up feeling rejected and depressed and, all of that. So basically just accept yourself unconditionally for being the wonderful, unique human being that you are. And always remember that nothing you do or don't do can make you bad or unworthy. You will
Right.
always have value. And no human being can be bad. People can do bad things. That's a behavior, that's an action. But nobody is bad, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
unconditionally learn to accept yourself. Now, if you unconditionally accept yourself, okay, with all your negatives and positives and neutrals and everything that good, bad, indifferent in you, if you can unconditionally accept yourself, tell me something very honestly. Would you ever feel rejected?
Yes, I might. And I'm
Then you're
sure
not
that,
accepting yourself. If you unconditionally accept yourself, everything in you, you're accepting everything about you. All the things that you like about you, all the things that you don't like about you. If you accept that as a part of you, you can't feel rejected.
yes, but this journey of acceptance in itself can be very difficult for some people, right?
Yes, absolutely. Which is why you need to ask yourself, whatever I am demanding, how realistic is it? Is it reasonable for me to demand that just because I want something, therefore I must get it? Just because I want something to happen in a certain way, therefore it absolutely must happen in that way? Is that a reasonable thing to ask or think? Because do things happen in life the way you want all the time?
No, definitely not.
No, right? Life has its own agenda. है ना? So, no matter how much I may want it, no matter how much I may wish it, desire it doesn't have to happen that way. And if I can accept that, a lot of my problems, my emotional turmoil will be put to rest. And I will be able to also accept myself. And if I accept myself, then obviously I can accept others a lot better,
Yes.
right?
So we have
Yeah,
a question here by Manika.
yeah,
If we
yeah.
segregate our behavior from our sense of self, then how will we define ourselves as a person?
Okay. So you are not what you do. What you do are different tasks or different behaviors. You are a human who's a complex mixture of positive, negative, and neutral traits. That's who you are. And I'm not talking in the spiritual way, okay? I'm not talking about you as a spiritual being. I'm just talking about you as a human being. You are unique. Is there anybody in this world who's a carbon copy of you? No, right? So you are unique. Learn to accept that uniqueness in you and differentiate between that, what you are, a unique human being, and between all the things that you do or all the things that you feel. So those are behaviors. Do not combine the two. Okay, just because this person lies, that means this person is bad. Just because this person has a habit to cheat, therefore he is bad. What do? We say, oh, he's a cheater, and we put a cross. He's a cheater. That means he's a bad person, right? He's not a
Right.
bad person. He just has one quality which you may deem upon as being a negative quality, which is that he cheats. But there may be a lot of other positive qualities in him, which you are not even willing to see because that one quality of cheating you have made so big that you don't want to see anything else in him. So these are traits. Learn to segregate the traits and the behaviors from whom you are. I hope I've answered your question, Manika.
So I don't think that we have any other questions here. So if you've shared the strategies, the steps that how we can, overcome this. So, but if we talk in this scenario, is there any way? So when someone says that you've shared the strategies that how to how acceptance is actually one of the keys, right? So can you share some strategy which will actually facilitate people on this path? Because it is one thing to know that you really need to accept something, and then it is another to actually move towards it.
Okay. So tell me something. Like I said, uh, if you're talking about acceptance, self acceptance, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, self acceptance. So okay, so supposing I wanted to get admission in a particular university. I've always topped my class. I've always got the best ranks and the best percentages, and I wanted to get into this Ivy League college, but I did not get. Now suddenly, this is the first time that I'm facing failure. Okay, I've always been a top student and I couldn't get into this. Let's say, for instance, IIT. I couldn't get into the entrance exam of IIT. Everybody in my family thinks, oh, I'm such a genius, I'm so intelligent, I'm so sharp, I'm so smart, I'm so, and I did not get into this IIT entrance exam. Now, this is my first taste of failure, and I feel extremely rejected because all I want to do and all I wanted to study for the last 5 years was towards getting into this particular institute, right? So now what
Right.
do I tell myself? I start telling myself that, oh my God, I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. Now tell me, if I were to ask myself that just because I didn't get into one particular institute or I didn't do well in one particular exam, does it mean that I am a failure as a person? Are
No.
there no other things where I have had good amount of success or which I have done well? There may be, right? They have been in life.
Right. Of course.
Also, I can ask myself that, is there anything to prove that just because I did not get into this particular entrance exam, I did not pass this particular entrance exam, is it written anywhere? Is there anything to prove that just because of this, I'm a failure? Is it written that if I don't pass and if I don't get into IIT, that means I'm a failure? Is it written anywhere? Is there anything to prove that?
No, of course not.
Okay. And then thinking this way, is it helping me?
Definitely not.
What is it doing?
It is actually reducing your sense of self.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So even if I try again, I will probably not make it because I am telling myself that I'm a failure and I'm not good enough. Right? So if only we can ask these very 2, 3 simple questions to ourselves, we will see how irrational, how faulty these stories that we feed ourselves is. You know, we convince ourselves about all these stories and it is so faulty. There is no logic to it. It is not realistic. It is not reasonable. And if we can identify that, then it becomes a lot easier to change that thought process.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing such beautiful insight. It was so wonderful talking to you. I've personally gained a lot from you right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And it
Thank you
was
for
really
having me.
wonderful having you on board. And I really hope that we can have more of such wonderful talks and sessions in the future as well.
Me too. Me too. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.